What makes a good homestead property? Today I'm going to list to you 8 or 9 things that are really worth thinking about if you're looking at buying yourself a homestead. Be sure to stick around to the end to find out the one thing that I think is most crucial. When it comes to buying property, there are usually 3 things that you can only choose 2 of, and that is size or quality of the property, the location, and the price. So if the price is right and the location is right, it may well be that the quality is not what you're after. And if the location and the quality are perfect, then it may be more money than what you're hoping to spend. Because of this, it can be really important to narrow down exactly what it is you're wanting out of a property so you can work out which compromises you're willing to take. Now, you may have heard the saying when it comes to property, location, 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 and there is a reason why it is said 3 times. There are 3 main things about the location that you really need to consider. The first one is where you are by way of country, city, or state. Your region will have different rules. They'll have different climates, different grow zones, different amounts of snow, different rules and regulations. Can you do what you really want to do with your land within the region that you're choosing? The second thing with location is how far away you are from the nearest town. There is often a balance between travel costs and land cost. And then really locally with location is what direction are you facing? Are you facing the sun? Is the main wind hitting your place? How exposed are you? Is there a problem with wind or snow or flooding? Number 2 to consider is water supply. Will you be hooked up to the municipal water supply? Do you collect water off your roof like what we do here? Are there wells or ponds? Or is there a spring that you can tap into? And is it already tapped into, or are you going to have to foot that cost yourself? And if it is tapped into, is it functioning well? Wells can be really expensive to get dug, so if there's one there, it is really good to make sure it is working. And if there's a spring there, it's a great idea to get a quote to find out how much it would cost to actually tap that. What is the local rainfall? Are you going to be competing with far too much rain, or are you going to struggle with droughts? Is there enough rainfall to be able to live off the water supply if you caught it off your roof? Number 3 is what outbuildings do you want, and what outbuildings does the land on offer already have, and what condition are they in? Are they clean and tidy and functional, or are they falling down and actually need to be demolished? Or are they somewhere in between that you could probably fix them up, or at least use them how they are for now? What animals are you planning on keeping? Do you need all of this outbuildings, or will you need something bigger? Is there a chicken run? Will it hold as many chickens as you want? Are there pig pens for your pigs? Or maybe a stanchion if you're planning on getting a milking cow? Or are these additional costs that you're going to have to add in to get the place up to scratch for how you want it to function? How does water interact with your land? Do you have space for ponds or dams or waterways, or some way of setting up a swale system to conserve water on your land? What trees already exist? Are they edible ones for shelter or for firewood? Are they in the way of where you want to put a building, or are they even better, protecting your building from some particularly hot sun? Are they deciduous trees? Are there branches that are going to fall on the house that need to be dealt with? Number 6 is fences. Is there a good, strong, secure perimeter fence, or is this something you're going to have to do before you move in there? A fence can be very expensive to install, especially if you're talking about a large property. But then it can also be highly expensive if your expensive animals escape, or worse, they escape and cause some major damage somewhere and you're liable for that damage. Good fences and good gates are well worth investing in. Number 7, what is the lay of the land? Is it flat, and is it really easily usable? Flat land is definitely easier to manage, but it also tends to flood, and it also tends to be more expensive. Rolling farmland is a little more difficult to manage, but still doable, easy enough to fence, and tends to be more readily available and slightly less expensive. The other upside to rolling land is you can get some kind of water flow and water system in plan using those permaculture principles. Steep land can be a challenge to fence and a real challenge to manage, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. Some animals don't mind the steep. Goats, for example, will climb all sorts of fantastic steep slopes, and it gives you an opportunity to put in some woodlots or maybe return some to native bush. And access roads can go a really long way to making steep land really usable. And the upside to steep land is it does tend to be a lot more affordable. Number 8 is size and usability. Is the land big enough for what you want to do? Or is there enough usable land to do what you want to do? Here, for example, we have 10 acres and we probably have about 2.5 acres of usable pasture, But the goats can make use of the steeper land as well. And then we've got a good amount of land up by the house to have gardens and chickens and the pigs and an orchard that are all really easy to maintain. Whilst there's some really steep stuff, you can still do what you want to do on the smaller amount of usable stuff. Number 9, of course, is there a house and is it what you need? Interesting, it's all the way down my list. If you're buying land, particularly for using as a homestead rather than just a home, I feel like the actual house comes a little further down the list. You might want to check, obviously, that it has enough bedrooms and living space for what you need, and that things are in good enough shape that you're happy with. And always be sure to get a builder's report, especially if it's an older home. Number 10 is usable layout. Does the farm make sense? Are things that need to be accessed daily close to the house, or are you traipsing all the way across the paddock every day to collect eggs from chickens? Is there easy access from one area to another? Do paths need redone, or are they in pretty good shape? Or could they do with a new path being put through? What's the flow of the property like? Does it make sense? Is it a sensible way to use that land? And if it's not, is it something that you could easily change, or that you'd be willing to change? Or is it a fundamental problem that you just can't get around? Only you can answer these things. And number 11 is actually our biggest consideration when we are looking for land, and we are actually considering selling up here and buying somewhere else. We're just keeping an eye out for something in the meantime. But our biggest consideration is actually community. We want to stay within the community we're already in, because having support within the place you live makes such a difference. Having good neighbours makes such a difference. We are really blessed here to have wonderful neighbours and a really supportive community. And my family, I've got my parents are just around the road, and one of my sisters is just around the road, so we don't want to move far from here. My husband's got really good friends now in our local village, and so if we're looking for more land, it's got to be nearby, because that community cannot be stressed enough. Having someone that you can go to when things are going wrong, or your husband backs the car down the back driveway and gets it stuck, someone that can come and rescue you is a really helpful thing. Did I miss anything? What are the top things you would look for if you were buying a homestead today? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and check out some of these other videos.